Hello, everyone. This is Country Music News International. My name's Nigel Sharpe, and I'm speaking to Shari Rowe, who's way over in Arizona. So let's get to Arizona. Now, way back in the 90s, this is kind of like towards the end of the 90s, I went over to visit a friend of mine who was working in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was living in Scottsdale. And his company over here had sent him over there to kind of get to know the people there and, and how they worked and everything. And he took a week's holiday and took me around to spots in Arizona, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Nice.
But the main thing was that we went to, my friend Tony had organised tickets for the Country Thunder festival. And this is the first time, and also the last time, that I went to any kind of major country event. And as my experience of Country Thunder as a member of the audience was fantastic. So for you, what's it like as a performer?
Oh my goodness. Country Thunder is one of the biggest events that my band, have played at. And everyone just there's so much energy in the air, which I'm sure you experienced for yourself, but feeling that energy from the crowd, I mean, that's, as a performer, that drives us to just be our very best. And we had so much fun. All the guys on the stage, you feel almost there's this connection between the crowd and the platform that is unlike any other event. Everyone just appreciates every single thing that you're putting out there from the stage. And that relationship with the audience is just, it's electric.
It's like everyone was there. Anyone who was anyone was performing at that festival.
Yes, that's how it is. Yeah. And this,
Wow.
I believe this year was one of, if not the biggest number in attendance. So the night that we played, we were cutting through the crowd to go to that same sound tent that you're talking about, because we were going to connect with our friend who was running sound for the main stage.
Okay.
And, cutting through a crowd of 90,000 people is quite an experience. And so, yeah, it's unlike any other event that we play. So it's great.
I didn't realize that. I guess this takes place every year then.
It does, yeah. And last year, of course, because of COVID, last year was 2021, so they weren't sure if they were going to have it again. It was canceled in 2020, but they ended up having to just move it to the fall of last year. So it's always every April. We played it actually back in October of 21, and then they got it back on track for spring again this year. So this time of year in Arizona, before the heat really hits, it's really festival season, February, March, April. That's the picture perfect weather for events like that.
So where is your home then? Is it in Arizona?
Yeah, well, my husband plays bass with me and we tour together. And we have spent so much time in Nashville, and everyone always asks, when are you going to move there? Are you going to move there? All those questions. And we've lived there in short stints over the years. And of course, we're always going back and forth. I write there, I record there. My team, my PR team, everybody that I work with is out there. So we have a really great community there. But the Southwest is so much of who I am. It definitely influences my writing. I just wouldn't feel truly like myself if I left here. And so I think that's been important for me, not just emotionally and, because of my roots and my family, but I think creatively and as an artist, I think it's a huge part of who I am.
And so when you get to writing, does that really have an effect on, what you write and how you write, where you are? What kind of struck me about Arizona was there was space. You had room to breathe, and room
Yes.
to move around, and there were some amazing things to look at. Does
Yes.
that,
Yes,
I was gonna say,
it
does
does.
that affect your songwriting?
It absolutely does. Over the years, I've written specifically about certain parts of this state, where we've had, where we have made these memories. And that space that you talk about is one of my favorite things about being in the Southwest, the big open sky, just that feeling, like you say, you can breathe. And we have beautiful places up in the mountains as well. The desert is kind of where we live and do our day to day. But outside of the valley, you can get up to the mountains, and it's 11,000 square feet not square feet, 11,000 feet elevation. And there's aspens and pines and wildlife. And I've written a lot up in the mountains. That's kind of, even though we've traveled all over the world, I feel like that is the place where I feel the most at home, is up in those mountains. It's almost to New Mexico, right on the border of the Apache Indian Reservation. And it's just one of the most spectacular places. And a lot of people don't realize that Arizona has such beautiful mountain country. We have the largest ponderosa pine forest in the world up on the Mogollon Rim. And so it definitely influences my writing, whether it's specifically about a place, or it's just because I have that feeling. I'm free to kind of really think and be creative and be myself and tap into things. And I definitely don't like to feel claustrophobic. I don't like to be in a place where, it's where you can't see that big sky. I start to feel a little antsy, and I just need to get out, back to the West. I've written a song very specifically about the Southwest. It was released in 2020, called Southwest. And Mark Addison Chandler and Sarah Ryder and I were having a conversation about how when you're in the South, in Tennessee, in the States, there are so many things that people talk about that have to do with Southern pride, and it's all the sweet tea and sitting on the front porch and picking guitars on the front porch, and Southern hospitality, and biscuits and gravy, and all of those things that we think of in the States, in the South, in the true South. And so we wrote the song kind of as like having a conversation with a Southerner and saying, try our kind of South. We're in the Southwest, and we've got, the canyons and the red rock and the wild mustangs and the big sky and the stars and agave and tequila and like all of these amazing things that make up our kind of South. So yeah, that was fun to write. It was fun to even just have the conversation with them.
Yeah, I'll take the tequila over the tea.
Yes. Hey, there you go. Hey, that sounds like a line in a song.
It does, doesn't it?
I'll borrow it.
Yeah, so let's get to your last recording, or as I understand it, the last release, which was Last Time.
Yes.
And that seems to be a slightly new direction, or a slightly different direction from a couple of the other songs that I've listened to. Like a Long Hug, for instance. But were you looking to sort of do something or write something different, or were you looking to go into a different direction?
I think, initially going into the co-write with Willie Morrison, I didn't sit down and say, I want to go a different direction. Let's write with that intention. I think the co-write just went the way it did. And sometimes you're surprised with direction you end up going. We didn't have a particular plan that day. And we started kind of tossing around ideas, and kind of came up with a little bit of a melody. And it was such a great collaboration. I really felt like we were both just firing back and forth so well. And we started to kind of laugh a little bit because it became this comical kind of theme. And very often I write either from my own personal experience, or I'm inspired by someone that I know. But every once in a while, songs develop this character. And that's what was happening in this song. It was this fictional character. It was this storyline, over the top, humorous. So we just kind of let that happen. And we laughed, and we thought, this is so much fun. This is like a little escape. This is, I don't know. We just had fun with it. And we finished it fairly quickly. Yeah. And then I went into the studio, and Jamie Tate over at Ruckus Room, and those, A-listers, amazing musicians, everybody's chiming in. I always say it takes a village. If you think you have something good when it's you're just finishing the co-write and it's just guitar and vocal, if it's good at that stage, then you're in good shape, because we went into the studio and these guys they embraced the humor in the song and the energy, and they ran with it in the studio. And I feel like they just helped the song kind of grow up. So I didn't intend on going a different direction, but then having it recorded, having it done, and kind of just letting the creativity happen, and then hearing what was back, I was like, this is a side of my personality. I tend to put out these songs like Long Hugs and The Heavy, and creatively, and even in my life, in my relationships, I kind of live in that space of making a moment out of things and finding purpose. And that's kind of what drives me, that steers the ship, so to speak. But there is a side of me and the band and all of my friends and family where we just like to have fun. So I think in the end, it wasn't an intentional shift, more of just showing a different side of who I am.
So is this song part of any collection, or is it just a straightforward single release?
This is just a single release at this point. It doesn't fill a spot in telling an overall story like an EP or an album would. It's just a change for a hot minute. And I feel like after putting out The Heavy and Long Hugs, and after everything that we've been through, I think the timing was good just to put out something fun and not have to, be so serious.
So where will you be off to next? When's the next show?
We've got a couple shows here locally in the Southwest, and then the second half of August is when we'll start a tour that's going to kick off in Las Vegas. Okay. And then we will have one of those stops in Arizona, but we'll go through New Mexico and Texas and head on up north and end up in North Dakota. So we've got a nice run of shows coming up.
Anyway, so I'm going to say thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us here at Country Music News International. And on behalf of the organisation, although there's only three of us, we'd like to wish you all the best for 2022 and beyond, of course. Anyway,
well, thank you so much for the support over the years and the continued support. And it's always wonderful to speak with you. And I wish you all well also moving forward. God bless you guys.
Thanks very much indeed for that. And I'll wave my little hand here and say bye. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.